All right. So we do just have about 5-10 minutes before our next session. So I thought it might be fun to kind of break things up and give you guys some fun facts about Las Vegas. But I'd like to ask first, all of our attendees, who here has been to Las Vegas before? Oh, okay. All right. Not our first rodeo. Whose first trip to Las Vegas? All right. Well, welcome. So here are some fun facts about Las Vegas that you may have not heard. So everyone knows the sky beam on the Luxor, right? How much an hour would you say it takes for them to keep that light on? Any guesses? Only 50 an hour. Pretty cheap light bill, right? So that Luxor beam costs about $50 an hour to keep on. Also, another fun fact, the MGM Grand's bronze lion is the largest bronze statue in the world, or sorry, in the United States. Now I'm telling lies. In the United States. Has anyone seen that statue while you've been here? Seen the MGM lion? Let's ask a trivia question. Any guesses to how many hotel rooms Vegas has? What'd your guess be? 50,000. Okay, that's a little more. 150,000. So almost in the middle there. Yeah, Las Vegas has over 150,000 hotel rooms. Have we seen the fountains at the Bellagio? So that is personally my favorite thing to do touristy here in Vegas is go see the fountains. So this fact did kind of gross me out a bit, but the fountains at the Bellagio use gray water. So reused water from showers, tubs, and sinks throughout the city. So it's beautiful, but slightly contaminated. All right, another fun trivia for our last fun fact here. How many weddings a day would we guess? Even more. I like how we go from 100 to 1,000. We're somewhere in the middle there. 300 weddings a day in Las Vegas. Anyone planning on getting married while they're here? Yeah, too late. Those are my fun facts there. Well, welcome to Vegas if you haven't been here. Hopefully none of you lost too much money in the casinos. All right, let's go ahead and get ready to introduce our next session. Are all of our panelists ready to start just a bit early, or should we take? We're all good? All right, awesome. Are you planning your social media campaign? You may be thinking about using video marketing versus text or image-based campaigns. While video marketing is creating quite a storm, marketers must always consider what works for them and the brand they intend to promote. Join our next panel as it will discuss the subject text versus image versus video in social media campaigns, which is most effective. And our experts will deliberate on each of these formats briefly. Let's go ahead and put our hands together in applause as I welcome our panelists, Dion Johnson Calhoun, CEO and owner of Dancer Fit by Dion, Eric Yalen, CEO of Megafluence, Ponce Musa, marketing coordinator at Specialized Medical Center Hospital, and Karina Vidal, co-founder and CEO of Cityscopes. Give a big round of applause to our panelists.
All right. You can never have more than enough.
Well, it's the last one, so
Well, this is the image portion.
yeah. We're getting to the video portion next up.
Perfect. Well, if I can just reintroduce myself, and I think we can do that as well, so you guys can put the name and the face together. I am Karina. I am a co-founder and CMO of Cityscopes. Then I'll let the rest.
Well, yeah, I'm Ponce. I'm a marketing specialist and very soon to be resident in US, hopefully. Yeah, so exciting for that.
I am Dion Johnson Calhoun. I'm the proud owner, CEO and visionary of Dancer Fit by Dion. Dancer Fit by Dion, we empower women and girls to transform their lives through dance fitness. And we also take a holistic approach to transformational lifestyle, and that is developing the mental toughness to start a journey and to stay on a journey no matter how hard that journey is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I branded my business to an award-winning business and how you can too.
And I'm Eric Deal. Seen an awful lot of me this week, but I'm a brand strategist, a technology specialist, and I guess I'm a CMO.
Very cool.
Perfect.
Well, before we start, we actually need a pointer. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Perfect. Thank you. So this one? Yeah. I think I work as a reminder sometimes.
Fine.
Yeah.
We got it.
All right, so very exciting topic, text versus image versus video. We're all up to the digital world now. So just to start with some statistics about who we are targeting. So because almost more than 20% of the US are millennials and almost more than 21% of the US are there was a mistake here, but they're Gen Z basically. So when you're on the digital platform, any social media, you're targeting a very big bit of those people. So, and those people actually, 90% of them are on Instagram, and more than 70% of them are on both Instagram and TikTok. So if you're planning to target Gen Z and millennial where you should be, because they're making almost 50% of the population, you'll have to be doing that on Instagram mainly. And to get more into Instagram content types, we'll go it's a bit of an evolution. So of course, all of us, we know that Instagram started back in 2010. It was only a photo platform. And then in 2015, carousels were introduced where basically you can put one post with 10 videos or 10 photos. And in 2016, stories were introduced, was a very big hit. Don't you think so? Because everyone was up there with stories and being very cool, very influencer-like. It was very cool. And of course, the stories are ephemeral. So that was the unique aspect of it. And then in 2018, they introduced the video, the IGTV, where you can make a bit of a longer version videos on Instagram. And the most interesting part was in the COVID year, when everyone's starting doing online videos and feeling very cool, feeling very involved online. So Instagram introduced the Reels, which is basically the IGTV, but in very, very shorter videos. There are videos that are mostly 60 seconds, or the shorter bit of it, the 15 seconds. So that's all of the content that we can be using on the Instagram, but we're going to be talking more about which one is the best when targeting the millennials or Gen Z. So actually, when doing some statistics research, researchers found that photos make up around 42% of the content that we find on Instagram, and around 26% of the content on Instagram is actually carousels. So the videos are not the majority of content being created right now on Instagram, but actually when talking about reach and likes and engagement, videos or IGTV in specific, they gain 49 more engagement than photos. While the Reels are actually the top performing in terms of reach and like, with 34%. So basically, oh, that's the other one. I don't know how to go back.
Like that one.
Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, so basically just to cut it short, if you're basically doing any things that you're targeting the millennial or Gen Z, you have to be on Instagram and you have to be using videos if you're not already, because this is gonna get you the highest engagement. Because also researchers said that if you're putting your message in a video, it's more likely, like 95% it's gonna be remembered, while if you're doing it in text or photo, only 10% actually gets remembered. So you have to involve the video in it. Don't you think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna get more into how to like integrate the video and how it's effective. Basically, this will be like the majority of our talk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So true.
I think something interesting in what you brought up in the last slide as well is the way that these engagements have changed. So we see like there's a huge increase right now in video content. We can see it in YouTube to the extent that they're willing to give people 40% of advertisement cuts just for making reels. So it's definitely something that's coming up and becoming very popular. But I think something to consider as well in terms of what engages well and what doesn't can be a little bit more deeper if we drill down in terms of why do these new mediums work well compared to static photos or comparing it to like the movement pictures such as our videos. It's like, what's the message behind it? I remember like way back yonder 2018 I remember like when we started revamping like things that we were doing with our business with Cityscopes. I remember working with interns and we're looking at analysis, doing some just analysis of our content, how they were performing, and our niche market at that time was in Facebook. And I do recall like we were playing with videos to see what content works well. And ironically, we started to realize that people were only looking at up to 8 seconds of video. So it's kind of shocking now to see like how now that has become a norm of like, you need to make videos and it needs to be fast. But something that we realized too, what we changed was that instead of having these 3 or 5 minute videos, which were a norm back then, today it seems crazy to think about it. But unless you're doing a content such as a recipe or something like that, a how-to video, when we were doing that, something that we realized was if we move the message that we wanted them to get in the front in the first 8 seconds, we were getting better conversions. And I think at that point, why we were getting conversions, we kind of drilled it down to really understand the psychology. So just to bring up 2 types of psychology, when we think about the human brain and the way we process information, we use a peripheral processing method or we use a central processing methods. What these 2 mean pretty much is in someone that's processing a message centrally using central cues, they're looking for facts. They're looking for evidence in terms of what you're presenting to them. These people, if you present the facts within the video within the first 3-5 seconds, they can easily convert to your website to continue learning more. So they'll follow that journey path you have already built out in comparison to someone who doesn't want to process something, they don't have the high motivation, or they may not have that cognitive function to process an information. Not to say that them not having that capacity is that they're dumb, definitely not. It just means that a person, for example, who may be looking for an app just to work out, just probably want to track calories in comparison to a medical student who wants to probably keep track of their heartbeat, of how high it's going, and they want to understand how can this app actually gather that information. So these are the different type of processors where a central processing person really wants that stat to really understand what information that is, whether it's on a video, text, or anything. They're looking for that hardcore evidence to move them forward because they want to process that message a bit thorough. In comparison to peripheral routes, these are more opportunities that we see very highly actively engaged on TikTok, on Instagram, where people are actually looking for information that just relates to them, not necessarily the facts. And we've seen this with like, I think my most favorite, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's the ads for the slim teas or the green teas.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone has seen that.
Yeah, that is a peripheral cue because you have all of a sudden Kylie Jenner saying, I'm drinking this in the morning. We're not understanding what is this made out of? How does it really work? Is it really slimming or is it just moving the bowel system? That would be a peripheral cue because at that moment, people aren't looking really to understand the actual facts about how this tea can function. In reality, they're just looking for, does it relate to what they want, which is a goal? And I think like these are the things when we consider what works best, if it's text or if it's video or if it's carousels, I think we can drill it a little bit down more in terms of the message, like whether we put it in a video, because this seems to be the thing that's giving people the information the fastest way without them having to process the information of reading it word by word and then processing the message. They're visually seeing what's going on in front of them and they have the picture in 3 seconds without having to process the information that we're giving them. And over here, these are just examples if you guys would want to take a look at what the peripheral cues look like and what a central cue looks like. But in one example for central, you can see that there's a macaroni and cheese that's being advertised and they go straight down to the grams, the low carbs. They're giving you the stats that someone who perhaps is maybe working out, wants to eat this food, but is like counting their macros is going to be interested in before purchasing. In comparison to someone of peripheral Q, you see like the advertisement of like shop now, pay later. It's like, okay, great. Where's the interest rate? How long do I have to pay for this? Like that information
need
isn't
more.
there. Yeah, right.
Okay, so I like to get very interactive and engaging in my discussion. So if I could get a few volunteers, you can just shout it out where you are. If you can. What's right. So can I get any volunteers? Absolutely. No answer or response is wrong. We have a lot of answers.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else? Anyone else? Well, she was right. Be fun. That video needs to be catchy. It needs to be trendy. It needs to entice, captivate, and draw the individual in. So this right here, people are not going to look at text. You have 3 to 5 seconds to grab an individual before they keep going, right? So with this being said, this is not a good way to market any product that you have, especially as the business owner. So let's get to what is right. If you can go to the next slide, please. All right, and you can press play.
I think it's getting to the like next slide.
Okay, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's
How
not
do
playing.
we play the video?
Can you play the video for me? Yes, it is. It's linked. You guys are great. Thank God for audio visual. We know that something always goes wrong. So this is an example of brand identity where you have video marketing that is embedded in the brain. People know exactly what it is. It's catchy. It stays with you. Whenever you recognize that brand, you know exactly what the connotation goes with it. Now let's go to the next.
Well, actually, it also makes it very like you can associate it with the guy like who was singing. So it's more interactive, basically.
Absolutely. So let's go to this next video. If you can pull it up.
Just like magic, just like magic. Middle finger to my thumb and then I snap it. Just like magic. I'm attracted.
That you see, what draws you? What grabs you? What grabs your attention?
It says it on the door.
Yes, the mask, the colors, the storytelling behind it, what the background. So video marketing right now, when you think about it, a static image versus text imaging, video marketing is the way to go. It's definitely a way to go. It's basically a new phenomenon. So when you think of marketing, go to video marketing. I use a formula to marketing, and that is the formula to success. And that is for a successful social media campaign, there are 3 formulas, and that is developing the brand identity, also brand visibility, because whenever you basically see a brand, just like Coca-Cola, they have visuals that are embedded in people's brains. So whenever you see that brand, whenever that brand walks into a room, disruptive, catchy, you know exactly what that brand stands for because that brand has already established identity. So that's what we want to think about when we think about marketing, building a successful video campaign, and sticking with video campaigns because right now, those are the ones that are booming. Next slide, please. All right, so with social media campaigns, 5 things to walk away with. Creating captivating visuals that are going to what? Capture your audience's attention. You have 3 to 5 seconds to grab them. Otherwise, you lose them. Creating compelling content. Again, I said that compelling content is fun. It's interactive. You can throw a poll question out there. You want your audience to actually trust you. You want to build relationships with that audience. You want the audience to actually want to look for more, to expect more. You want to continue to bring and captivate them and entice them and draw them in. So you can do that through your short reels, right? You can do it through trendy hashtags, through storytelling, because there's someone that's sitting on the other side that's saying, you know what, your story in that video, in that campaign video, it resonated with me. So therefore, I want to be a loyal customer. Creating innovative. And when I say innovative, don't be afraid to be disruptive. Don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to do something different that's never been done before. That's going to separate you from your competition. That's going to make you award winning. So creating social media campaigns that draw people in, wanting them to learn more, colorful, energetic, they pop, vibrant, youthful. Creating campaigns to educate, right? Folks always want to learn something new. Creating campaigns to raise awareness of your brand. Coca-Cola, people know who Coca-Cola is. People know what McDonald's stands for. What does your brand stand for? When you walk into that room, what do people say about your brand? And this is one thing that I want to keep with you guys. Business owners, personal brand experts, influencers, don't be afraid to promote. If you don't promote, who's gonna know that you exist? If you don't promote, how are people going to reach you? If you don't promote, how are people going to find you? Can't be a scared promoter. Last but not least, create platforms that are going to gain the feedback and start conversations on issues, right? People want to weigh in on things. They want to voice their concerns. They want to give you feedback. They want to feel like the most important person in the room. So you want to allow people to weigh in. Knowledge is power. Let their voices be heard. And then when you're building an audience, and that is through social media campaigns, the engagement is key. If they feel like they can't trust you because your content is not consistent, you lose them and they keep moving. All right. So thank you. If you have any questions, I am here to provide those responses for you. Before I stop, if we can just get up do a little stretch. You guys have been sitting there for a long time. I said that this is going to be interactive, but you can just do a little stretch for me. Stretch over to your right. Stretch over to your left. Raise those arms up. Okay. And that's going to get you ready for the question and the answer portion. All right.
Well, we started talking about what's most important, text, image, or video.
Yeah.
But the one thing that wasn't mentioned is audio.
Oh, yeah, true.
Very good point.
So I'm gonna, without any slides, that's why I'm gonna talk about audio. Because audio can play a part in all of those.
True.
And you need to think about that. Now, one of the reasons that TikTok gets a lot of engagement is not necessarily for the video portion of it.
For the audio
Mhm.
part.
It's the audio portion of it.
Right.
And in fact, what do they do? What do they tell you when you're creating a TikTok video? If you want to get more engagement, make sure you're finding a trending song to go
Yes.
with it.
Yes.
So that audio is important. Now let's go back to somebody who spoke just a little bit earlier, Katrina, and she was talking about that reptilian brain.
Yeah.
We need to connect emotionally with people, and it's very hard to connect emotionally with a person with just text.
Yeah.
Now you can, but they have to be able to read it, and you have to have the right words, and it takes a little bit more time to make that connection. Same thing with just a static image. Yeah, an image, if it's the right image, you're going to maybe have more of an emotional response, but even a static image with the right audio with it is going to have a better connection.
Yeah.
And then, of course, a video. I mean, think of all the movies that you go to. What kind of movie enjoyment would you have if there weren't the sound effects that go
Right.
with it?
Right.
It's the sound effects often that make you react to what is going on the scene. And so that you have to think about that audio, whether it's a short, a YouTube video, an Instagram video, reel, TikTok, anything. Not just the music, but it can also be the words or just simply how you recite those words in that video and have your calls to action. So that's why I think you really need to think about audio as a strong component of your marketing. And also, even though, the one social platform that nobody seems to mention, even though it still is relatively popular,
Twitter.
is Clubhouse.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Clubhouse.
And there's a lot of people that have made a tremendous success over propelling all of their audiences through just interacting and engaging in Clubhouse. Now, by the way, the people that I know that are on Clubhouse actively, they will tell you definitely it is the greatest time waster that's out there.
Definitely.
Because it's just like turning on the radio. It's just people talking, and sometimes you're listening and sometimes you're not. But one of the influencers that has made a tremendous success out of Clubhouse is a guy named John Lee, who is out of the UK. And what has John done? He's built his audience just on Clubhouse to over 600,000 people. But that has led to his Instagram audience being 2.5 million and his Facebook audience being roughly 2.1 million. And overall, he has over 6 million followers. Now, if you don't think that he can get people to engage, now that's why audio can be so very, very important.
That's true, actually, because we go back to the span of attention, like you just said, and everyone was saying, it's very short, which makes sense. If you're just putting out text or image, it's gonna take much more time for people to connect with it. Which again, why Instagram has created the Reels and YouTube has created the Shorts. People now need I need to get to know what you want to deliver in very short period of time. And it also makes sense because it happened during the COVID, which for me makes sense because more people try to interact more online. So like the shorter version of it made it easier for people to create and interact. It was not as hard. It was not as time consuming. So it makes sense. It goes back again to the span of control, even with the audio. And the audio is actually not only on its own, it's actually part of all the other types of content, basically. So
I also like how you brought up the audio too, because when you think of YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, they have an option where you can, even TikTok, they have an option where you can add audio.
Yeah.
So even though you have your trendy song and you have your dancing and you definitely have your call to action, that voiceover option is also an option that you can use to promote a video. And so if you're not doing that, I would encourage that you do that and use that option in addition to the trendy songs.
Yeah, I like, sorry, just to chime in really quick. So I'm all about the science. So even hearing this, I do like to hear it because I do see audio as being like that additional tool like for a video. So we have like the video that you can create, but then you have like the other pieces of aspects to it that you can add to it. So I do like the fact that you brought up the audio because indeed an audio is also a peripheral cue. So for those times where people don't want to process that message, whether they want to hear something inspirational, they can hear that audio, and that audio helps them tune into the video and connect with it and create that relatability to it. In addition to that, I think like just going back to even the fast motion of these videos, how you build this entire story where someone doesn't have to process that entire journey and just take them to where you want them to go or to a place mentally where you want them to focus. I think that too is part of like what makes videos so engaging, because either you have flash of colors or you spoke about branding, like Coca-Cola and these brands, they've built that brand, but it goes back to what was that peripheral cue for that identity that they needed. So I think this opens up the conversation even more to podcasts as well, because podcasts are also on this rise. But I've seen the mix as well with the podcasters where they have their podcasts on Spotify, for example, and then they go into YouTube and they have the actual video so people can see them doing the podcast and the interview. And that creates that relatability once again. But pieces of this audio can also be taken out and put into some random 8-second video on Instagram. And all of a sudden, that audience that heard that podcast and this new audience that just heard this little piece of an audio is all of a sudden now connected, building an audience for the person who shared it and the person who created the audio or where it was extracted from.
The couple other things, the one thing that makes audio important is that it is probably more disruptive than everything else. So if, for instance, you have the audio turned on, as you're just scrolling through Facebook, all of a sudden the audio comes on and now maybe you're paying a little bit more attention.
I've heard iPhone users talk about that too. It's like, wait, why is this audio on like in a quiet place?
The other thing is in just other types of communication. If you're doing something in Messenger or WhatsApp and you send an audio message instead of a text message,
Oh, yeah.
if you send it with a video, or even that's why emails have DSLs. So and one other thing is a lot of people are creators and they're creating ebooks and different things like that. Well, you can also create simple audio products. So when you're creating content, start with the video. That's going to be everything, but put it into a service like Otter and transcribe it. Now you have the text version.
Yeah.
You also, with Otter, it'll also turn it into an MP3. So now you have the same content repurposed in different ways, and it's a different way to get the message out. So people are going to consume it in different ways.
Yeah.
So what would you expect from a content creator that is not too keen on using video marketing, but wants to do the audio, but just needs to go about a certain way because they know that people are visual creatures and they just have to see something?
Then create slides.
Yeah. There's a
Or
lot of
maybe
tools.
animations as well. It
Yeah.
would work as well.
Yep.
It will be more interactive, just not putting photos with text. You're just making some movements. So it's the same thing, even if it's with like real people or just animations, it's going to work with the same effect with the interactive part of it. And actually one step that you said about audio, it's very interesting because you can see like you can find one audio that's trendy and just take it and use it on your own content, while it's not possible for the other content. You can just find a video and use it in your video. No, you have to like create your own video. But the audio, it's very interesting because you can take this audio and use it for your own in a very unique way. So it's very interesting because I feel like many people can use the same thing in many different ways, which is the audio. Very cool, actually.
Yeah.
So
So do we want to open it up to Q&A?
yeah.
How many people here are using videos? Because I know that's also a tough thing. All right, we got a few hands out of the entire
You
room, but no, like it would be great for you guys to share the experience because I know, like, even when I talk to other founders of other companies, that's been a challenge for them just because it does take time to create these videos. And like to your points, you can use slides, you can use animations, but I've spoken with a lot of founders who want to create these videos and invest that time, but sometimes for startups specifically, they're lean. I think this is also true for even small business owners. They're super lean. So it's like to invest all that time in creating these videos, like what has been yours experience that we can also talk about
Right.
because video right now we're saying is great and good and coming up with things that you guys can do. But I think we can take this conversation even a little bit more further and really understanding how can we shrink this time that it takes to create these videos and repurpose them,
Well, why do you
as you
think it
mentioned.
takes so much time?
Well, it's time consuming. It's also demanding.
Why do you
Yeah.
think it's time?
It's time consuming, especially if you don't have a strategy.
Well,
So the key to building a robust social media campaign is strategy. And so once you develop that strategy, you have a game plan, you have a schedule, and you can fully implement it. It doesn't become as challenging as you would think. But I think the first thing is setting up the strategy. How many videos do you want to do a week? How often are you going to post those videos? Is it twice a day? Are you going to do 10 videos in a week? Do you have a memory bank of videos that you're going to repurpose throughout the month? Those are things that you have to identify. And once you identify those things, it's not as challenging.
I think too, like the challenging part, like to the question that you're posing as well, is a lot of people do find it to be challenging because they think that they have to create a new video every time.
day.
And it's not true. It's
Mhm.
not. Like to your points, you can
Yeah.
use the audio, repurpose it. You can create 4 videos out of one video. Heck, we've even created videos out of like seriously, like just one video that we've gathered together, and we've created almost 30 videos.
Yes,
Just getting small little pieces, still
Yeah.
staying with the same theme.
I agree with that. You can take a 3 to 5 minute video and you slice those clips and you use those clips throughout that week. And then you have your week full of content that you can just push out to your audience. So, once you develop those strategies and you find what works and what doesn't, then you have a game plan. And that's what we want to do. But I want to definitely get to what works for you guys and how can you leverage that and what questions do you have for us who are experts up here, that are moving forward with video marketing?
So 100%, I absolutely agree. Having that strategy in place ahead of time can save you a massive amount on the back end. One of the things we often recommend for our clients is literally block out 2 days and you can do an entire month or 2 months
Yes.
of content. Bring, if you're doing TikTok videos, reels, anything like that, bring 3-4 changes of clothes, knock it out, have that plan ahead of time. This is what our content strategy is. Boom, 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 boom. We knock it all out. The question I would have for you is the panel here. What are some strategies that you would recommend as far as coming up with those content ideas, coming up with an ideation plan? That way they can go ahead and knock it out in the course of a day or schedule things out.
What my formula is always asking my audience, right? You want to give the people what they want.
Sure.
And that's always a great way to be safe is to ask them, what is the content that you want to see? And you are measuring and you're analyzing the data. What is the data showing? So if you have a video that's doing well, you want to consistently do videos that are just like those videos that are doing well. And it also depends on what your mission and your vision is and what your strategy is at the time. For your business, you may want to raise awareness for your profile. So you're going to do things that's going to basically generate folks to go to your profile. You may want people to learn more through a video that you created. So it just all depends on what the
Your
goal is,
Yeah, exactly.
what the goal is.
Sure.
But I really like to poll my audience.
Okay.
I look at comments and what generates buzz, and I'm consistent with that.
Okay.
I
Would you
think-
ever leverage things like PAAs, knowledge panels, things like that directly from Google, or would you predominantly look at, say, social media, looking at sentiment analysis, NPS scores, things like that?
I like to, so, what I do like to say, I like to look at what audiences are doing in terms of their performance and content's engaging. I think I'm a little bit radical thinking in terms of just looking at all the content that works well, like bringing it back to the business, because ultimately people are interested in your content or are going to find your content based on the problem you're solving. So sentiments are definitely important. NPS scores as well are important. I just feel like it varies sometimes with businesses. I think it's something internally you should always be doing with your organization, with the current clients that you have. But I think another good strategy, when you probably don't want to spend too much time looking at what performs very well for other content creators and bring it back to your business, could also be like creating content that's persona specific within the organization that you're looking for. Because within your organization, you're looking for certain clientele, but each client has their own different ways of processing your message, or they have different ways of interpreting how you solve their problems. So this is a good way for you to have one content. Like if you take a video of something related to something your business does, right? Like if you own an agency, create a content of how you help them grow their audience. Now that itself, a video of like either social media, whether it's advertisement, just that itself, have the personas, the interest of what these different personas may like. Some may be struggling with having their ad spend budget decrease compared to spending a lot of money on ads that don't perform well. Some people may, like, as you mentioned, just want to increase their audience for the engagement.
Mhm.
Other people as well, perhaps.
Awareness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like you can take that one video of a content related of how you solve a problem, but split it up into these 30 videos, these 12 videos that you can use for that month. And if it's helpful too, thematic content also works well, because what you use in February can easily be used during just throwing out something random, but 4th of July, when someone's actually looking for that independence to own their marketing strategy. It's like, right there you go, a video repurposed with a different mindset of a message for that persona.
Right. For me, being a content creator, brand strategist, I really focus on the storytelling. And the storytelling is what works. It really resonates with the audience. So telling the story, making it personable. People can relate to it. They want to feel, touch, smell, and they want to see. So if it connects with them, you're likely going to draw them in.
And I think to add to that, to be able to make people connect with your content, you have to put in the video someone they can relate to. So basically, you have to get real people that they like, or they're very similar to, with like similar traits and similar interests. When I watch a video with, for example, a hijabi lady, I'll probably connect to her more if you watch this video.
Peripheral cue.
So in other words,
Exactly.
people that look like you, or people that you can resonate.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very important. It's very interesting because right now, influencer marketing is getting much more bigger, more than celebrities, because
Yeah.
people can't really relate to celebrities. They're very famous, they're very rich, and we're neither. So basically, hopefully we will be someday.
I like to
So,
say I.
yeah. So like we just need someone that we can relate to on a personal level. So this is also something very important to integrate in your videos.
Thank you for that
Thank you.
question, though.
Yeah. Interesting. Actually, I want to add something. It's very interesting because if you put a text out there, probably it's not going to be as interactive. But when you're creating videos, you have to put subtitles. It's a must there now, because some people are not turning on the audio. So you'll have to grab their attention in different ways. So if they start reading and they're like, oh, that's interesting, then they'll turn on the audio and they will continue on watching the video. So it's not just enough to use one content. It's very important just to put a couple of content together to make the optimal effect, basically. It's very interesting that only one does not work on its own. Just like a team, I feel like no one can work on its own. It's very hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to share that. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah.
So let's go into how.
Somebody.
Okay, good. Come on up. Come on up. You're up.
Well, sometimes I don't get to see anyone. I can only see the light, basically.
know.
That's tough.
Good eyes.
It's
Good
right
eyes.
up there.
Yeah.
I'm just curious on your take on production value because video is such a broad term. I've done video shoots that cost over $500,000 and video shoots that cost $50. It's so drastically different. And sometimes a lot of brands, especially D2C brands, are hesitant to do overproduced videos because it's so expensive and you don't get the ROI that you typically could from a quick vertical video from your phone. So just curious on your thoughts there on production value and how much is really needed nowadays on social media.
Well, if I would actually comment on that, there are lots of equipment right now that are enabling people to produce and with very low cost, and they turn out very professional. I don't remember the name of the event, but there's an event where they just showcase videos that were only shot with like an iPhone, and it's very, very professionally produced. So I feel like right now in like 2022, there are lots of equipment that enable you to produce with low cost, while no one will know that you used an iPhone. Just don't let them know. That's it.
But taking it a step further,
Yeah.
okay, so regardless of the image quality, in fact, you don't even have to buy a brand new phone to get the quality, high pixel rate on a great iPhone. Ugly works.
Yes, it does.
In fact, a
Controversial.
lot of, in email marketing,
Really?
some emails, they're going to end up automatically in the spam folder because they're too graphical.
Uh-huh.
And a text-only email can actually be far more effective than one that is highly put together. So also on a video, now an iPhone, for instance, it has stabilizations in the processor that eliminate the shakiness.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Shakiness works. So people are looking for authenticity. In fact, there's been a lot of research into trust. And trust has been diminishing year after year after year. Edelman does the annual trust barometer. And I think there's only like one institution now that has a trust level over 50%. So people are looking for that authenticity. And that's why ugly works.
Oh,
Ugly is more authentic.
And I want to add to that too. You've seen things on social media where you have a producer that spent $20,000 on a video, and then that same producer just takes his iPhone and just creates some content, and that content is the content that goes viral, right? So it's a combination of both. It all depends on what you want that production clip to do. Like, for example, I'm in the production space, right? And I spend thousands of dollars in production, but I know that I'm going to use that production video to gain some type of traction, whether that is for master classes, whether that is to generate more clients, whether that is to basically do a symposium on health and wellness. So it just all depends on what you're going to repurpose that major production and slice it up. 30 seconds on YouTube, 30 seconds on TikTok to generate some type of outcome.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think I like lavish expense production. I'm not gonna lie to you, but however, it's not like we're spending our budget on that all the time.
Right.
I think in terms of longevity of that content, I think the more production and human capital and time can be invested into it. If it's something that's going to resonate or that's going to be used multiple times, like without, I guess for 2 years, for example, because there are ads that have that emotional connection that you can repurpose and use, whether it's an ad, whether it's a content. I think in terms of that strategy already being built out and considered for this type of production, whether it's an ad content, whether it's a video, whether it's for a full campaign, I definitely think the investment is worth the time because it's something that can be used multiple times over and over. And it can be broad enough for the company to be able to hit their, use their message for people to connect with it directly. But in terms of like social media and YouTube or things such as that, I think, I guess, lower quality. And by lower quality, I don't mean like just the quality of the video, but I just think the investment of that time and team. I think at that point, something's going to be used and can go viral within 2 months, 3 months, or be top of mind within 24 hours based on Instagram's algorithm, for example. I think in there you can invest a little bit less. And if that content does outperform and does well, then take it to the next level of adding the additional content and budget towards it to make it something that's worthwhile that can be used long term.
I would go and say if you're again going to the strategy and an intent, you're creating maybe what I would call legacy or institutional content, something that you expect to be long lasting.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to stick budget into it.
Uh-huh.
But for most social media, it's about frequency and consistency and getting things out all of the time. Nobody has enough of a budget to do that and
Right.
put gigantic production values in it. You want to crank it out quick and fast. And especially when, I mean, this is one of the values of having short videos is, you take 5 minutes and now you've got 20, 15-second videos.
Yeah.
So how much production value do you need to put into that? They can be shaky, they can be ugly. You maybe have to put in some time into post-production to put in the text along with it so people can read it if they don't want to just watch it. It shouldn't be that hard to put in the audio track. Again, doesn't have to be highly done. Maybe you have to do a little bit of editing to trim a little bit at the front and a little bit at the end and maybe take out an here and there, but keep it simple.
Keep it simple. And just like you said, keep it authentic because that's what resonates with people.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for the
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
So if you had to pick one thing, you could only do one, what would you do?
I'm video marketing all the way. I stopped with the static images a long time ago. Video marketing.
Well, I'll choose video as well, and I'll give a short example. How many have you seen the Wednesday Netflix series ad on YouTube?
I've seen it.
Yeah. Did you see it? She's just standing there, silent, no talking, no movement, nothing. But it's a video, and it's actually more interactive than like a post, which again reinforces the video thing preferences because it is more interactive when you see just a very, very tiny movement or a tiny audio. You feel you can connect more. It was genius, actually. Just for 10 seconds, she's staring at us and we're staring at her and we're not skipping the ads because we're enjoying it. We feel like, oh, I just want to watch the 10-second for some very unknown reason.
And the curiosity of like, what's
Yeah.
going to happen?
Probably something will happen a second later. So yeah, so it's very, very interactive. There's something, you're waiting for something to happen, while with the post, that's what you see is what you're getting. There's nothing more to it. So again, with the curiosity, what about you? What's your favorite?
I like videos.
Yeah.
Just because I like the storytelling aspect. And I think people connect with words differently. There's different cultures, different backgrounds. So a certain word that we might use here or like within your market, your niche, someone else may not understand that terminology. But you can show, like you said, show a video and we can all connect because the most universal language is body language. So if you could see a video of a person, you can connect with them. If you can see a video of an an animation, it's still connecting because it's evoking that feeling without you having to interpret what that word may mean to you, to that person, to that business, anything like that. So that's my go-to.
So 3 video and yours?
Well, I would definitely say video as well. But so the next question would be, would you be eliminating a text-only ad? Would you, or content? Would you eliminate image-only content? Would you eliminate?
Well, image, no, definitely not. But with the text, like that's very hard because I feel it's very hard to interact with text. No one is reading posts anymore. If they're on social media, they're not there to read. So even if they like reading and they're into reading, they're not on social media to read. So I could eliminate the text part, but the image, it's pretty hard to eliminate the image because it is needed probably in the fashion industry, in the food industry. Sometimes I need to see like the details, and videos do not really get me that unless it is gold of that. So it's very hard to choose one, actually.
And I will say this too, for your traditional marketers, they love text. They like to write. So when you have business owners that like to write, that's okay. But as you are capturing your audience, you have that visually appealing image,
Yeah.
or you have that compelling video, then you land them over to a landing page that has the text so that you can get away with still having your text and having them read what it is that you're trying to convey in your message.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Mhm.
Social media is not a place for text.
No.
So text is important, but not on social media.
You want to grab them first. And remember, you only have a short period to grab them. So once you grab them, you want to convert them. And once you convert them, then they can have the text, right?
Yeah, true. Totally agree.
So that just triggered my question about like the buyer's journey, actually. So everyone's pro video, but is that for every step of the buyer's journey for you guys? Like from brand awareness to like that execution of a
I-
conversion, or do you kind of change it up along the way?
I don't personally, if we're looking at it from the buyer's journey, I don't think video itself can do it all.
Right.
Mm-mm.
I've never personally experienced seeing a video, clicking, and then filling out a form. I think, again, in terms of like the buyer journey, there's so much more that goes into it because the buyer journey is a method of nurturing. And then you use different type of mediums and different type of channels to get that message across, to nurture them into that conversion. Back to what you said too, it was you about the visuals on social media and then the landing pages. That landing page, again, I hate to bring it back like a broken record, but you go from the peripheral and central cues.
Mhm.
That landing page at that point, the greatest converting landing pages always tell you what is the benefit that this person can get.
True.
Right.
And you can get this benefit too in different mediums. Like you have blogs. Blogs are not just for SEO. Blogs are to actually get that message across for that person who is doing the research. That's a different persona. Then you also have the video content to capture that attention. I think in the buyer journey, video is way up front because you need to capture that attention for that person to remember you, to want to come back, or to remember, I saw this animation or this video, I connect that with this type of brand. But as you start moving down the funnel, you have different type of conversion. Like there's even a human interaction within the buyer's journey. Like whether it comes after they make that conversion or if it comes before for some of these companies that have a longer sales cycle, where they are generating sales of thousands plus. You have that human interaction. So by no means, I think in terms of social media, what performs well, to your point, I believe the videos do too. But by no means can video alone do that conversion for you and create that entire bond and relationship you're looking to build, that trust with that potential prospect that you may have.
Well, to add to that, actually, for me, if we look at the journey in the face of the awareness, when you're trying to grab the attention, just like you said, we need the video. While getting to the research part, when you're trying to see the principal substitutes, you need the image there to see the details and definitely like just to know more about different parts of the product or
Yeah.
the service. And then when you get to the like purchase decision part, you'll definitely need the text because you're gonna need much more details for the consumer to make the actual decision. So like you said, all of the content are definitely integrated in the buyer.
Yeah.
process.
So like the funnels, I think the funnel still stays the same. And you guys can,
Yeah,
disagree if you
yeah.
want. Because I still believe you have the top of funnel, which all the video, the engagement, the interaction, the connection can happen. You have the middle of the funnel, as you said, where you have the blogs and more of the detailed information. Then you have the bottom of the funnel at that point, which is really leading specifically to the conversions. Like, what is it that they're looking to do that final conversion? Each industry has their own type of funnel and journey, but I think it's still consistent in terms of like how you can use these channels and mediums for that. If anyone can do a video 100%, then please contact
Well, I think
Cityscopes.
I think it's really important what you said. It really is very, very dependent
there.
on the price point, the industry,
Yeah.
the target market, the customer avatar. It's going to be a different journey
Yeah.
in every sense.
Yeah, true.
Sometimes video isn't going to be appropriate at all
Mhm.
because of the particular nature of the products or service, or maybe even the price point. And I don't think you should discount from social media sites such as a Medium or a Reddit. They are also social media sites,
Yeah.
but they are all text heavy.
Mhm.
It is more about the story. So again, it's very, very dependent about what you're trying to achieve and who you're trying to reach.
Yeah, I also think that we as, content creators, we don't want to limit ourselves in a box. Text works, images work, videos work, trendy hashtags work, but it all depends on what your primary targeted audience wants. I know for me, my primary targeted audience coming in at 95% is 18 to 24-year-olds. So I have Gen Zs. I know what it is that they want. I studied the data, I've studied the analytics. I know what works, I know what doesn't. So I'm going to use a compelling visual that I know is going to garner their attention. I'm going to use a trendy slogan that is fun and engaging and a little disruptive because I know their language. I've studied their language. I'm also going to use a picture, but when I use a picture, if I use text, it's going to be very, very limited. Just a question that I know is going to create them to make them engage. So once you know what your targeted audience is, you want to build a campaign around what it is that's going to attract them. And whether that's video, whether that's text, whether that's reels, you just generate your content for your audience.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Well, we're up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a wrap for
That's
this.
a wrap for this session.
For this
It was so
conference,
fun
actually.
with you
Right?
guys.
Yeah.
I hope that stretch worked.
Well, I hope the last panel was interesting enough to wrap it up, the
Yeah.
conference.
And we thank Marketing 2.0. It's an honor for us to have been the last panel at the end of the Marketing 2.0 conference. I hope you enjoyed it as we have, and hope everyone connected. And I hope to see you next year, maybe.
Yep.